I'm here with Tammy, you know ATIYA, and you know Saundra, okay? And we're missing our bestie, MONIE. She's still away on business, but she should be returning shortly. Okay, so today, our topic is the generation gap. Okay, so we know that with each generation that passes, there are major differences that take place. We know that some of them are positive and some of them are negative. But today we want to focus on the negatives. Okay, ladies, so we're going to be discussing the generation gap. You know, we hear so many instances where one generation is not communicating well with another generation. So today I'm going to break down the generations that are here now. We're all coexisting. There's about 4 or 5 of us coexisting all together right now. Okay, so we're going to be going through generations from 1965 to 2012, up until now. So first we have Generation X. Generation X is from 1965 to 1979. This generation is known for having the highest rate and level of education.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. From 1965 to 1979. And now we have Generation Zennials. Now, you haven't heard this term Zennials, the Generation Zennials, which is from 1975 until 1985, because Zennials fall in the middle between Generation X and the Millennials. So they coined the term Zennials. Now, this generation is what we call the micro generation in the Millennials. And these are people belonging to a more traditional relationship type of generation. This generation, people belonging to this generation, they have more conventional values that exist, and their generation comes in right before the social media era. So they still have some of the traditional values and some of the morals that the previous generation had. And they also come right before the dating apps and things of that nature. Okay, and we have Generation Y. Okay, Generation Y is another name for millennials. So millennials are actually, we call them the millennials, but they're actually Generation Y. And these are people that are born between 1980 and 1994. Okay, this generation, can anybody guess what this generation is known for? The millennials.
Protest. Narcissism. Disrespect.
Oh, okay. This generation is known for being more independent and opinionated in their beliefs.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And they are more involved in things like protesting. They also are more likely to be a part of saving the earth and conserving energy types of issues.
What generation is this?
They said millennials.
You said from
80 to 94. 80 to 94. That's what
I'm just thinking of people I know that's born in that era, and I'm thinking to myself, they have all the lights on, right?
So I mean, okay, this is what I've researched now.
Okay.
What are some of the characteristics you think? So you don't see them as this, is what you're saying?
Oh, I find them 94.
Yeah,
absolutely. I find them there. I mean,
yeah.
thanks to the next generation, we had Obama.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they are more out there and involved in stuff. Even though, okay, we're not looking at the ones that are that have never left their community, shall I say?
Okay. That's the point.
Okay, because the ones that are out there rooting for voting rights and all of that, because that's them as well. But the ones that are staying at home and not really getting involved in those type of things, those are the mischievous ones, I will say. If they came out of their community and just say they went to college and they did all of these things, these are the ones that's the other side of them.
Right. Okay.
That they are, yeah. So, okay, and last we have Generation Z. And that is from 1995 up until really now. Okay. And this generation, the people that are born in this generation are not as quick to get serious about a relationship. They don't really care to label a relationship, and they don't carry the traditional values of a relationship. They tend to be more tolerant of many different cultures and races, and they are less likely to go to church. They are not as much believers as the previous generation. So they're not going to church like we did. They're even questioning whether there is a God. That is Generation Z. Okay, and they are the most opinionated of any other generation thus far. Generation Z. So with each generation that is born, we see a shift. And we see that they are evolving as it should be. But what I want to discuss right now is, in my observation, I've noticed that some of the shifts that are taking place are not in, I would say, our society's best interest. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Talking about the generation gap. Okay, so we broke it down. Generation X, Generation Zennials, we got the Millennials, and we have Generation Z. So I don't know where you guys fall into, so you can kind of pinpoint what generation you belong to. Okay, so right now we're talking about how each generation evolves and what we have evolved into. As I stated, there are some pluses, positives, and there are some minuses, negatives. Okay, so I want to focus right now on some of the minuses, okay? So I can remember a few years back, I'm just going to share this with you. My mom had just retired, and she typically didn't like to drive downtown, so she most times she took the bus. So coming on the bus, and she was having problems with her legs. So when she would come on the bus, she would just be in such pain from having to stand up with all the kids and all the people that were on the bus. But I remember in the back, when we grew up and we were on the bus, we were always taught that older people and women with children, you're sitting there and the bus is crowded, you offer them your seat. That's the generation I grew up in. Excuse me, ma'am, would you like to sit down?
Yes.
You know, she also mentioned that when she rode the bus, the language on the bus, the profanity, the ratchetness of the conversations that would be on the bus was just, you know, wrenching her inside.
Right, yeah.
You know, and again, when we grew up, I'm not going to say we didn't use profanity, because we did. You know, you try to, when you're outside of your home, you try to be a little grown. But I will say that we used it in our own group.
Right.
We wouldn't dare get up there and curse in front of an older person, or just out and out, just boom, boom, you know, talked about who and what and everything and above. So we didn't do that. There still was a certain level of respect to maintain, even when you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing.
Right.
You know, we always had that respect. So I want to say that that is worrisome for her. Okay, now, we know that we're not perfect, and we know that we're going to do things wrong, but what happened to, I just feel like it's, in this generation that's here, the rudeness, the lack of respect, and how we hear children even speak to their parents. You know, some things I hear children say to their parents, I mean, I wouldn't have no teeth in my mouth. Growing up, we wouldn't have teeth in our mouth had we said these things and challenged our parents as if they were on our level. Right. You know, our parents, my parents were just a few generations out of being sharecroppers. Okay, my parents, my father grew up on a sharecropper's property. Okay, so you know, it was just so much. They worked hard. Our parents came home. They were tired. They did what they had to do to provide a better life for us. And you better not dare question them. You better not speak out of turn. It better be yes, sir, and no, ma'am.
Right.
You know, and so forth. I just want to know, what are we evolving into with these new generations?
And how and who's controlling it is all the questions that you'll have.
Is it the parents? I mean, because if your parent is, if your child is speaking to you in a certain way, you know, is it the...
I think it's just social media. I think them opening up things like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and having people to look at all of these different things that you could be is giving our children too much of a smorgasbord to pick from. And then we have to consider the drug era where the parents were not rearing their children in the same fashion that, you know, their elders did, and because they simply weren't there. And then you have this whole generation of children who basically raise themselves by their own rules. And the first thing to go when you become an adult is all the things your parents made you do.
Right.
Right.
I think about the Bible. I think about all of those things. I think about the Bible, how it says each generation is going to get weaker and wiser. Oh, we have the technology.
Whoa.
That's the wise.
They're wise.
The wise, right? Weaker, you don't believe in God.
Ooh.
You have pretty much no boundaries. You get what I'm saying? You won't take correction, no chastisement. You know, you just think you're going to do whatever you want to do. And then there's the drugs in play where your parents, you know, nobody gives parents a handbook. You know what I mean? You give birth to the child, the doctor, you know what I mean? They don't give you a book. There's no table of contents, right? You know what I mean? So I think it's that. Yeah, I really go straight to the Bible. I'm like, you know what? I'm really not surprised. That bugs me when I used to catch the bus, and you have this pregnant woman or, you know, older man or woman, and they're right above you, and you just sitting there on your phone, and you know what I mean? Like, you don't see them, like, give them a seat. Like, what is it gonna hurt you? Or you in the back of the bus, and you B's and C's and F's and D's. Most of those are on your report card, so you don't need to be using them in public anyway. You know what I'm saying? And you just drop them bombs. I don't care. You know what I mean? Respect is given to a dog. You get what I'm saying? Like, how disrespectful can you be? Like, it's just...
You know, this new... First of all, we got to remember that a lot of these young people today are results of being born addicted. You know, we had a lot... Those babies have to grow up. So we have a lot of that going on. We have parents that want to be so cool that they friends with their, I'm gonna say daughters because I have daughters, but I'm friends with my children now because they're grown and they're out my house. But when they was in my house, they didn't need a friend, they needed a parent. You know, and these people are so busy. I know so many people that hang out with their children and their children still underage, but they're taking them to places like they're grown because they want to be the cool mom. I'm cool. This, that. No, you're lacking. And as far as what's going on, we do have technology, and we do have the social media. But again, I still come back to the parents because I couldn't roll my eyes at my mother. And you know how to go to your room? Let me stomp up those stats. Stomp. You know what I mean? So parents just so honey and do it over. Try it again. And you hope you get to try it again and not pop upside the head with this and that and
everything else.
So all they're so busy trying to be friends. The disrespect
that they're not disciplining.
Exactly. Because they don't want to become the mean parent.
They don't want to be,
And the disrespect is, if they don't respect their parent, how can we as adults?
They're not going to respect any older person out here. Because again, they're looking at, if they're on their parent level, they're looking at the fact that I'm on a level as an adult. And that's how they speak to adults out here. If you even look their way, they go, what the F you looking?
And I've had that.
Yes, I've seen kids say that kind of stuff to adults. And it's just mind-boggling. Like, wow, you really think it's okay to say that to an older person?
They associate being grown with using foul language.
And having an attitude.
I was on the bus and I'm with an older lady. I call all older ladies mama. So I'm with a mama. I don't know her, but she's sitting here. Right. And she is just distraught with what's going on behind us. You can hear them. Oh, I'm going to say, I said, oh, mother, don't say nothing.
Don't say a thing.
You know, so she kept looking back there and looking back there. And sure enough, the girl said, what the hell are you looking at? And so I said, well, we was looking at you because your hair is so pretty.
Wow.
Who did it? It diffused it. See, we need more of us that's diffusing that. Well, your hair's so pretty. Who did it? Her whole disposition. I mean, she was a rough little chick back there. She said, I did it myself. She went to this little girl. And I said, oh, you got to give me your number. Now, give me your number so you can do my hair. And stop talking like that because you're too pretty.
You're too pretty for
now,
that.
of course, I wasn't going to let that child do my hair, but the little mama was about to say something, and it wasn't going to be pretty.
And that's what they would have been swinging over your head.
Exactly.
They would have been swinging right with you, and you'd have been right there in the middle.
So it's a lot of confusion, but I keep in mind that all those babies that was born during that addiction season, they had to grow up.
They are out there. They are out there.
And we're dealing with them.
We are dealing with this
and
situation.
It's unfortunate.
Wow. After
and they are having children.
The Molly
and they are
Yes.
What are they called?
The Molly Poppers.
So and see, their children are growing.
Yes.
They're not being, and you got to remember, they're not getting treatment. They're not going to church. You know, they living for today.
Yes.
But to most of them, social media. You got people that say, "Oh, I don't go to church, but I watch it on the TV every Sunday." But when something happened, or when your parents pass, or when something go on, you can't call them. Those TV pastors aren't coming to your house to pray for the family. They're not coming. You know what I mean? So. It's horrible. But what can we do? Because what did the Bible say? Since you spoke about the Bible, do not conform to this world. And see, that's what this world is. So who's leading them is the enemy.
Yes.
And the sad part is somebody has to guide them to remind them that the Lord is here for them. And no matter how low you can get, he can reach you.
Right.
And our parents and our elders and all the people that came before us did not, because a lot of them died, trying to fight for our rights, just humanistic rights, just to fight that we would be looked upon as equals. And then they did not come before us and die for this.
Right.
This is not what they died. Right. So audience, let us know, what do you think about this subject? Okay, what do you think about the generation gap? Where is it going to take us? Where did we go wrong with it? What could we have done differently or better? Let us know your thoughts, okay? We'll be back in a minute. Up next, we have MONIE with MONIE's Health Tips. MONIE, what do you have for us today?
So we're going to get into the nooks and crannies of the importance of vitamin D. Vitamin D is something that our body naturally produces while we're out in the sunlight. But sometimes we are not able to be out in the sun, especially if you live in the city. It's blocked by buildings, things of that nature. We don't have beaches in certain areas. So you want to make sure that if for any reason you live in the city or, you know, an area like that, you want to get out in the sun more. But if you're having symptoms, and no, I'm not a healthcare provider, but if you're having sore, achy joints, muscles, you're getting sick all the time, you have high blood pressure, you're experiencing some heart disease and issues, things like that, that could be signs of vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so what you want to do is speak to your healthcare provider about getting those levels checked. But if for any reason you're not able to go to a healthcare provider, you want to up your levels in vitamin D, go to your local pharmacy and get you some vitamin D3 up to 1,200 milligrams and take those supplements daily. If you're not a supplement taker, you can get vitamin D in food sources such as salmon, there's shrimp, your egg yolks, if you eat mushrooms, things like that, milk, certain cereals, oatmeals, yogurt, you can find vitamin D in those sources. So you want to do your own little research and find things that have vitamin D in it. If you're experiencing those symptoms, you want to make sure that you get your body together, because right now with the way the world is set up, you want to protect your immune system. And vitamin D is something that's very important for your immune system. It helps with your respiratory system, so you want to make sure that you get your vitamin D. And it also helps with mood swings. If you have mood swings, if you have trouble sleeping at night, things like that. So if you're experiencing those things, could be a sign that you are low in vitamin D. And again, I'm not a healthcare provider, but I do suggest that you go get those levels checked and get yourself some vitamin D. Again, my name is MONIE, and this is your health tip for today. And also, let me not forget, vitamin D helps aid in weight loss. That's one of my favorite things. Again, this is your girl MONIE, and you guys have a great day.
And up next, we have ATIYA with What's Trending. Take it away, ATIYA.
Facebook changed its name in the fall of 2021 to Meta Platforms. Meta Platforms is the new name of Facebook as we know it. This metaverse thing is new, but I don't think it's going anywhere, and I think that it will only expand from here. What do you know about the metaverse? Let us know below. We'd love to know if you're a part of what's trending.
Coming to us next, we have our Saundra with Explain Yourself.
So, chronological aging means the time from birth to, as we age, numerically, right? Because no one wants to really age physically with crow's feet, right? Or whatever. So I was just thinking, and I'm like, it's funny how when we're in conversation, we'll say, well, I'm not getting any younger. I got news for you. None of us are. Let's start explaining ourselves, right? These things just crack me up, If you're not gonna laugh, I sure am. Who knew?
Tammy has someone wonderful for you, and I can't wait to see who it is. Tammy.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Bethel. Hey fam, it's your girl Tam, and I'm here with the showcase spotlight for tonight. Tonight I have for you Ajanea F. Young, born in Philadelphia but coming to us straight out of Harrisburg. Now she is the founder and CEO of Love My Drip LLC. Let me tell you, they customize clothing, shoes, whatever you want to fit your style. Now I personally have a couple of items from them, but I want you to check it out for yourself. So go to the website. You'll see it after you see the photos. You will see the website. Get your pens and papers ready because it's good on your pocket, and that's what we look for, right? All right. But hey, when you do reach out to her, let her know that you saw her here on Let's Talk About It.
Closing of another wonderful show.
Yes.
I mean, the generations are out of control, but it is what it is. And we are happy that you tuned in. But until I see you again, my prayer for you is always is that you be blessed, that you walk in your purpose. You follow your dreams, follow your passions, and know that God is real.
Well, I like to say, give us a comment. I'd love to showcase you in the episode.
And if you have something that you need and you want to get off your chest, this is the platform to do it.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about today's show. Our name is our address. Hit us up.
And with that being said, we'll see you next time on Let's Talk About It.